Well, as businesses, restaurants, and sporting events start to open up here in the tri-state, the Cincinnati USA Convention and Visitors Bureau is getting ready to welcome visitors back. I'm Betsy Ross, and with us to talk about the reopening plans is Julie Calvert. She is the president and CEO of Cincinnati USA CVB. Julie, how are you?
Hi, Betsy. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, just fine. Thank you. Now, this is something, of course, that we are looking at the light at the end of the tunnel, as everybody says, that people are starting to come back downtown, and there'll be games to go to and the zoo to attend and the art museums to go to. But really, this is something that you've been planning for months to get ready for this.
That's right. You know, really 2020 just shuttered the industry, for certain. And there really wasn't a harder hit sector than hospitality with COVID. And even though it was shut down very quickly, the reopening is a more of a measured prescriptive process. So really what we want to do is make sure that we're educating people who choose to travel to Cincinnati, whether it be for a ball game or to see a museum or arts and culture, what's being done and what has been done to mitigate their safety. And that's what this is about, is really showing people what has happened and what we're doing to make sure that their health and their safety is at the top of our list of priorities.
So let's talk a little bit about that. How do you restore that confidence? How do you tell people that those measures are being taken right now to make sure that everybody is as safe as possibly can be right now?
Let's start with the convention center and the meeting side of the business. Many of our downtown hotels have received what's called the GBAC Star accreditation, and it's the Global Biorisk Advisory Council is the group, and they have given the STAR designation to the DECC, to many hotels downtown, which is the highest level of accreditation in safety and cleanliness that you can receive. It's an extremely prestigious designation. Many hotels across the nation, convention centers are vying to get this, and it's difficult to achieve. And we have a high percentage of our hotels that have received that. So, it's making sure that the meeting planners and the conventioneers know that exists. It's the hand washing, it's the hand sanitizer stations every 5 feet, in the convention center. It's, new air circulation measures that have happened in the hotels and in the convention centers across the region. So making sure that our visitors and our planners are educated about what we're doing. And so there's been a very direct effort to target them directly, to talk to them. We've held webinars, we've had direct communications with them. And then, on the visitor side, it's really about education, getting them and showing them, what does 6 feet look like in the museum center? What does, when reminding them to keep their distance, to wash their hands, timed ticket entry, into so it's not just to fly the doors wide open and everybody come in, but, we have to be very thoughtful now about, if you want to visit, you have to plan that visit, and you have to make sure that you're following the protocols and the guidelines that are in place, both from the state level, the local level, and at the attraction level.
You mentioned about the tourism industry here in the greater Cincinnati area. Literally overnight, it shut down, and the rules changed almost every day there to begin with. What's going to be open? How can you be open? How many hours can you be open? What have you heard from the people in the tourism industry, the hoteliers, the conventions that had to be canceled? What have you heard from them about getting back?
So they're anxious to get back, and with the guidelines that the governor put out last week is very helpful in getting the industry restarted. So 30%, at outdoor venues, 25%, 30% in some of the indoor venues. And it's funny because when you think about that, 30%, when you're full 30%, you're at 100%. And what I'm hearing from the attractions is they're 100%. Right. So they're filling that 30%. 500 people can go to the symphony and 500 people are showing up. So there's a lot of demand, and there's a lot of desire to get out there and resume some semblance of safe resumption of these activities. Mm-hmm. The attractions have been open since the summer. They've strict protocols in place. And they're full to the extent that they are able to be full at this point. From our meeting and convention standpoint, many of the meetings that canceled, and there were 166 groups that canceled their conventions in Cincinnati last year alone. They're rebooking for 21, 22, even as far out as 2026, if that's their next open year. So it's more like a delay or postponement. of those meetings versus a full out cancellation. But be clear, they canceled in 2020, so you've got to take that business off the books. We got to find a place to put it back on, and that's what we're doing.
And you touched on it. Don't you think there is such a pent up demand for all of us to just get out and do something? We always talk about going back to normal. I don't know if there's going to be a new normal, but don't you think that there's just a pent up demand for everybody to just get back out there?
Well, from what we're seeing, yes, for sure. But I think that we have to make sure that we are being responsible and what that means to get back out there. I think and I think that's our duty as an industry. Like I said before, not to just fly the doors wide open and just say, have at it, but hey, here's what safe travel looks like.
Mhm.
You can still do all the things you wanted to do before. You can visit the restaurants, visit the attractions. But here's what your part is, and here's what our part is, and that's what we're in the process of communicating and really making sure that we're doing so responsibly, because we don't want to find ourselves back in this situation ever again.
Right. So, what can we do as business owners, as event holders, as event planners? What can we do to help you to get that message out and to bring more people back here to the greater Cincinnati?
Yeah. I think, number one, we have a great resource on our website, cincyusa.com, Safe Cincy, where we really have laid out all the protocols and what we're doing from, an event and a leisure standpoint. And that's a great resource that you can share with your attendees, share with your visitors, put that on your website. And as people are booking tickets or they're buying tickets and booking their time to be at their venue, make sure that website is front and center, that they can go and visit and see what the requirements are. And I think I just encourage people to, if you're an event planner locally and you might have planned an event, in Louisville or another city, hold that event in Cincinnati. Keep your meetings local, type of thing. If you were thinking about a girlfriend getaway or a couples trip or a family trip that maybe you might have gone to another city, stay here and explore Cincinnati, book a hotel room, rediscover Cincinnati, rediscover your hometown. And you'll see, we're getting accolades, as a region in all sorts of national publications, from Travel and Leisure, to Condé Nast Traveler, Food and Wine, Forbes, talking about all the great things there are to do in this region. Stay here and explore that, and invite your friends and family here to do that. And so, I think that, with all the new hotels across the region, these beautiful boutique hotels that have opened, from here all the way up into the north, there's really a lot to discover and to enjoy. And so we would encourage people to really think, Cincinnati first, in booking that trip and looking at travel for the summer.
And I think a lot of people have been doing that staycation here the last few months, just to at least get out of the house for a little bit and have a getaway at one of the local hotels. Julie Calvert, President and CEO of Cincinnati USA CVB. Thank you for being with us. Hope you have a safe and very busy spring and summer coming up.
We hope so too. Thank you.